What's up, YouTube? Hey, it's Freight Skater here. Are you interested in what our setup is? 2021 Freightliner Cascadia. We're going to do a walkthrough and explain everything to you, the pros and the cons from the new model versus the Evo that we were in. We're going to go through the entire thing in depth. So thanks for watching. YouTube. Before we get started with our 2021 Cascadia walkthrough, what's your favorite truck? Which one would you like to be driving? Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys, we're gonna jump right into it. First thing we're gonna talk about on this truck is gonna be the styling. I mean, just look at it. It's completely different from the Evo. I mean, it's advanced, updated styling inside and out. I mean, they couldn't have done a better job with this truck. It is amazing looking, okay, compared to what we were dealing with. The Evo was a great truck, but let's be honest, guys, it was like a school bus. I mean, everything down to from the way it rode to the way it drove. I mean, it was just a work truck. That's all there was to it. There was nothing nice or luxurious feeling about it. Overall, the number one thing that is positive on this truck over the Evo is it is just a more comfortable experience overall. That being said, let's talk about under the hood. We've got a DT12 automated manual transmission with the coast mode and a DD15 engine, which is making about 505 horsepower at 1,650 pounds of foot torque.
More power, baby! Yeah! Do it, me! More power, baby!
If you don't drive for prime, because we're all set in eco mode, and I don't think we're putting 500 horses down to the ground, but it gets the job done, and we're getting great fuel mileage. 8.4 miles to the gallon so far for the last almost 20,000 miles, and a lot of that has been at 65. We've been on some pretty tight appointments. Let's talk about outside. Let's keep going with the outside. We've got our brush guard, which is integrated now, has an integrated release system. No more pins. That is fantastic. I am super happy about that. About every 50,000 miles, those pins would wear out just from the shaking, and you had to replace them. It was a pain. It really was. The ride quality itself is crazy better. The Evo, when we would hit a small bump, I mean, it just felt like you were in a go-kart with this straight axles, no suspension whatsoever. This thing just floats. I mean, it's almost like driving in a Peterbilt. I keep waiting on it to give in on me, but it hasn't yet. So like I said, we're almost 20,000 miles, so we'll see how that goes. All right, if you take a look up here, up at the windshield, it's actually a one-piece windshield. And I don't know if you guys remember from any of the videos, but the Evo actually had a two-piece windshield, just like a school bus. Having that one-piece windshield is pretty nice, especially when you can wash the entire windshield and your wipers cover the entire windshield now instead of just half of a windshield and you had that bar in the center of it. So that's a nice little plus as well. The steering on mean green, even though it was power steering, it was really harsh feeling. It was almost like you still had to make it do what you wanted it to do. I mean, this thing, it just glides. You barely turn the wheel, you're just gliding. It's almost like being in a Cadillac. That's the only way I can describe it. If you go from talking about going from an Evo that you had since it was brand new in 2017 to this thing right now, a 2021 brand new, that's the only thing I can compare it to, is having your first car and you've been spending money your entire life trying to get it fixed up, and then you end up winning the lottery and buying an Escalade. That's what that thing is right there. That's a Freightliner Escalade. That's all I got. The def setup on this truck. You don't have to open the separate door anymore like we had to on the Evo to get to your def. It's got its own little portal opening there on the driver's side, just like the fuel tanks do. That's a small convenience, but it is a nice one as well. It's a lot easier to just kind of take your cap off, fill it up, put your cap back on. You're not having to worry about the door. Plus that door had magnets on it from the Evo that just always went bad. You always had to constantly replace them. It was a little just annoying, I guess you'd say. But it's nice to not have to worry about that anymore. Hey guys, staying with the DEF setup, we're going to talk about this for a second. The new Cascadia seems to be a lot more efficient on DEF. With the Evo, we had to fill up once every other fill up, whereas the new Cascadia, one fill up a week has been doing us just fine, and we're usually in between the quarter and the half tank by the time we start our new week. So that is definitely a plus. We're not spending as much money on DEF as well. The truck comes with LED fog light standard. That's awesome. That's fantastic. The Evo didn't come with anything LED standard at all. Well, that being said, it didn't come with the headlights LED standard or the turn signals LED standard. So what we did was we actually upgraded those immediately from green. Thank God the Evo and the new Cascadia carry the same bulb sizes, so it was an easy swap. We actually took the halogen ones we saved from green, put it back in her, and then took the LED lights back out of her and put them back in the new Cascadia. So that was a nice little touch. Makes nighttime driving so much better. Another great thing with the 2021, the tri-pack APU setup has an integrated bunk heater. So there's no extra bunk heater up under your bunk anymore. It's actually integrated with the tri-pack itself. So there's no additional Webasto knob up there on top. So that's a nice little feature as well. All right, let's talk about the inside. They've updated everything, the dash, the storage compartments, everything, which is amazing. The number one thing that I can tell you is great. The new Cascadia actually has a dedicated microwave shelf for the microwave and enough space to put almost a full-size dorm refrigerator in. That is a really, really plus from the Evo, because the Evo could only have a small actual truck fridge. So now we actually have a good size freezer and a good size fridge actually in the new Cascadia. That is really, really awesome when you're trying to eat out on the road. You don't have to spend so much money on truck stop food. So you can actually stock your fridge up really, really nice. So that's the biggest upgrade that I have absolutely seen with the inside for the new Cascadia versus the Evo. So super nice, guys. More cup holders. Holy crap. There was one on the left side in the Evo, closest to the driver, that was so small, I mean, it was useless for anything more than a phone or some change. These actually have the nice big cup holders that go from supersized down to smaller, It's really, really nice. So you have three in the front, and then you have the one still at the side, beside the seat there, that is actually bolted to the floor. So that's really, really nice. More cup holders. Power, everything. Everything's power. Locks, windows, everything. The only thing this truck is missing is the keyless entry. If I could have had that, that would have been crazy, crazy awesome. But it is power everything. We do also have auto everything. Auto headlights, auto windows, and auto wipers. So if you have the wipers off and a raindrop hits that windshield, it'll adjust automatically. The bad part about that is the adaptive cruise control can be kicked off if the wipers are going too fast. So you turn those wipers on too fast, or the rain picks it up, the automatic sensor picks it up too fast, it's gonna kill it. It's gonna kill your cruise control, which we really don't need to be driving and using cruise control in adverse weather conditions anyways. We have a complete LED interior lighting. Everything inside the truck is LED. The front two lights, the back lights for the bunk, the big, huge overhead light assembly, everything is LED. It is really, really nice. That is a great touch, whereas halogen was all you could get in the Evos, unless you upgraded it yourself. There is storage everywhere, literally everywhere. You have little cubbies here, little cubbies there. There's a little shelf up here above the cockpit. There's storage everywhere, except for the lower bunk. Unfortunately, there's not too much you can do there, but it is nice, and the doors are a nice touch as well. The on-guard system that's actually used with our adaptive cruise control, that sits right here below our grill, it's actually used to have its own separate monitor in the Evo that you had to monitor with the cruise control management system. Well, this is actually integrated into the dash now. So all you have to do is scroll through your buttons on your steering column, and you can pull up everything. You can pull up how fast the truck in front of you is going, how close you are to them. It will warn you automatically. So everything is integrated into the speedometer assembly, which has been updated as well. So it's actually digital over analog. That's a really nice touch as well, guys. Being able to use those actual steering controls and look at everything, all your gauges and everything, anything that's not actually analog on the dash, is really, really nice. The fuel economy is crazy on the truck. The Evo we had was an 8.1 mile per gallon truck for 597,000 miles. This thing's almost at 20,000 miles. We're already at 8.4. Like I said, most of that 65 miles an hour driving, she's not even broke in yet. This truck won't be broke into 100,000 miles. And she's getting 8.4 overall. We've been coast to coast already with this truck. That's pretty amazing. And you're talking about 2 drivers too. You're not talking about just one with their habits. You're talking about 2 drivers with their habits. So the fuel economy is pretty good. I'm pretty excited to see what this thing's going to look like at 600,000 miles as far as the fuel economy goes. Our Qualcomm got updated, and I know that's a prime feature, just like the brush guard's a prime feature, but our Qualcomm got updated. We actually are using the IVG model versus the MCP 200. The biggest thing about this update is not actually the model that they're using, is where they put it. In the Evo, the MCP 200 used to be mounted on the corner of the dash and it stuck out with one of those ram mounts. Every time somebody got in on the passenger side or went to go to the back, constantly hit it, knocked it down. That ram mount had to be replaced 2 or 3 times because those rubber balls kept getting distorted and falling apart. Whereas the IVG model mounts right there in the dash where you'd have a touchscreen at. So it's easily accessible for the driver, and it can still be taken out of the mount and used remotely by a passenger, your co-driver, if they need to switch themselves into sleeper berth or whatever, and then put back into the mount. Really, really nice. It's a nice 7-inch display. It's great location to where they have it. The only thing I have to say about that is that cord coming from the bottom kind of covers some of your control buttons right there, but hey, you win some, you lose some.
Another great thing about the new Cascadia is Freightliner actually integrated a ladder to the top bunk. So now you can access the top bunk with ease and there's no more parkour trying to jump on the shelves to get up there. So that's a really nice touch.
Overall, guys, it's an amazing upgrade from the Evo. This thing is crazy nice compared to the Evo. Green made a lot of money for us, but, you know, wasn't very comfortable at times. This thing is really, really awesome compared to the Evo, and I am so grateful to have it. Now, that being said, let's talk about the negatives. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit up the inside a little bit. The closet is ridiculously small, and it lacks any type of extra cubbies on the inside. I mean, you can't even put, I mean, I'm 6 foot. I wear a 3X shirt. If I go to put a shirt in to the closet, it's going to touch the bottom and then drag. It is super, super small, and there's nowhere else to actually tuck anything in. There's no more cubbies. You got one cubby on the door. You can't even fit a pair of gloves in there. I mean, it's crazy. Freightliner, where's the storage at for the clothes, man? Come on. Number 2, as far as storage goes, let's talk about the storage bins, okay, all around the top of the truck. They're great. The problem is that it doesn't matter how much you organize those storage bins. You can drive 5 miles down the road, stop, try to get something out of them, and they're going to fall all to the ground. Freightliner should have put in blocker plates. That way you could clear blocker plates. That way you could look in there, see what was in there, reach over in there and grab whatever you needed without it all falling on the ground when you open the door, which is something that I'm going to be upgrading here pretty soon. In the back, when we're talking about the closet space, right below the closet, especially in the Evo, there used to be a laptop table that would pull out. Well, in the Evo, the laptop table, you could actually lift the top off and you'd have probably about 1.5 inches of storage for paperwork, stuff like that. Freightliner did away with that. Why would you do away with that? That storage is like gold to me. I keep receipts in there. I keep my monthly expense reports. That is really, really important, Freightliner. Why did you do that? We need that laptop storage. And when we're on that laptop drawer, just like the Peterbilts, Freightliner should have put a laptop drawer on the passenger side that pulls out for the passenger so they can be doing work on their laptop or doing their paperwork, whatever, as you're actually in motion, or if you're just sitting still and you just want to sit up front. That pull-out drawer there would be such a great convenience. It would be insane. And there's plenty of space there. There's nothing there but a Cascadia logo on that dash. Obviously, I don't know what's behind it, but I'm pretty sure we could have squeezed in a 2-inch by probably 14-inch drawer into this dash. It's humongous. Okay, this is a big one, and this is going to affect a lot of guys, especially bigger people. I'm on CPAP, okay? In the back of this bunk, there is absolutely nowhere for your CPAP machine to sit. Absolutely nowhere. Mine has to sit tucked down between the mattress and the wall, and I have to run my cord all the way to the inverter behind the seat, which thank God these trucks have inverters, or I have a little 200 watt power drive inverter that I use, and I have it plugged into the cigarette lighter and I use it right there. But there's nowhere to set the thing. So you have to actually either set it wedged in between your bed, risking damage to the unit, or set it on your bed and risking it falling off behind the net or wherever while you're driving. Because this is a team truck, the truck never stops. Like solos. If I was solo, it'd be no big deal because the truck stopped moving. You can kind of arrange it a little bit and put it where you need it to go. But being a team truck, it's impossible. It's just you gotta basically hug it while you're sleeping. Number 5. The seats are still the same plain Jane design as they were in the Evo. There's nothing special about them. They didn't do any kind of upgrades with them. They just covered them in new material and threw them in the truck. Yes, the material looks a little bit more durable than the green truck did, but it's still the same seat. We live in this thing. We spend at least 8 to 11 hours in those seats every single day, minimum. Where's the seats at? Yes, of course you can upgrade the seats from the factory if you want to spend an extra $1,300. Why should you have to do that with a $200,000 truck? It doesn't make any sense to me. Come on, Freightliner, give us some good seats. We deserve that. We're going to talk about comfort, and obviously this is not needed. The sound system, okay? It's like I'm listening to something out of a 91 LeBaron. Why have the sound systems not been upgraded in this truck? They have the same head units, and I guarantee you they probably got the same speaker setups. I don't understand that at all. Yes, it's a small item that's up for grabs, but we should be able to listen to good sounds. The Peterbilt guys get subwoofers in their trucks. Why? I mean, we got to be a diehard Freight Shaker fan. Why can't we get a good sound system? Don't we deserve it? Staying on the interior, we're going to talk about the dash and the door panels and just the overall appearance inside. It's an upgraded design, but they didn't dress it any. I mean, even your Speedo has some little stainless trim, and the door panels have a little piece of carbon fiber look on them, and the passenger side of the dash has a little piece of carbon fiber. That's it. Everything else is just molded plastic. It just really, really looks kind of cheap. If they could have put some brushed vents in there, a little bit more carbon fiber in there, it would have dressed it up a little bit nicer. Yes, I know you're going to have the people out there who's like, it's a work truck, it's supposed to do something. You don't like it, don't drive for prime. Doesn't matter. The bottom line is these vehicles are $150,000 to $200,000 each. Guys, that's a lot of money. And yes, you can make a lot of money. I mean, just like we saw in the lease video. But we live in these things. It would be nice to have it nice. Everybody doesn't want a crappy truck, you know. I would like to have something nice that I pay for every single month. And we're going to talk about the vents in the back of the bunk. I thought they would have fixed this from the Evo. The Evo had one vent on the bottom for the lower bunk, one vent on top for the upper bunk. It's almost the same here. It's like they kind of thought about it about midway through, and they're like, screw it, we're not going to keep messing with it. There's 2 vents now for the bottom bunk, one on top of each other, a foot apart, and then there's still only one on the top bunk. Why? I'm going to go back to Peterbilt. The Peterbilts get 4 vents on each side of their bunks, top and bottom. 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Why can't we get 2 vents on top, 2 vents on bottom? I don't understand that. The right side of the cab needs to be cooled or heated just as much as the left side of the cab does. That doesn't make any sense to me. We're going to cop out instead of running an extra piece of HVAC tubing up to the other side. We could have done a little bit better with that, I believe. Last thing on the inside that we're going to talk about is the cab curtains, the privacy curtain for the front, and the cab to cockpit curtain. These things are 2 pieces, just like they always have been. We could have done a 1-piece cab curtain. It would have been a little thick on one side, but you could have put it to the passenger side away from the driver, and it would have been a lot easier to deal with than having to pull 2 sides, Velcro it, hope the Velcro is just right. It's just a little minor inconvenience. It's still nice to have them, but it's a minor inconvenience. It could have been a little bit modeled a little bit better. The outside, I do not have too much to complain about at all. Number 1, all right, the truck, we've already talked about this, the truck did not come with LED headlight standard. The truck did not come with LED headlight standard. It's 2020. It's like, if you're using halogen lights, it's like having a lantern trying to light your way. You can't see anything. I'm trying to be like Doc Brown and see Back to the Future. Bam!
Great Scott!
I want those jokers on. That truck should have came with LED headlights standard. No ifs, ands, or buts. Number 2, the plastic front bumper. I had a base model Cavalier that came with a painted front bumper. Why does this thing have a plastic front bumper? This is ugly. You take 2 trucks side by side, one has the plastic front bumper, same color, one has the painted front bumper. Whole different world. That thing should have came with a painted front bumper. It shouldn't have to be a special order thing. Even though I know we can, it should have came with it. All right, guys, another item up for the docket for the cons on the Cascadia are these god-awful things here. Wind vents. I guess they're supposed to help, I don't know, smokers when you let the window down to keep the wind and rain from coming in. It does just the opposite. These things make so much noise, it sounds like your window's all the way down when it's all the way up, just driving down the road with no wind conditions whatsoever. I could really do without these ugly things. They are just god-awful, horrible, and just useless. So with the wind vents as well, guys, I don't know if you can see, but this window is really nasty, and we just cleaned it like a few hours ago. All it takes is one windshield washer squirt, and that water just trails back on your glass every single time, all over the place. So it is filthy. I mean, you just cannot keep these windows clean. So another reason the wind vents need to go or be restructured. The drain valves for the tanks, the air tanks. So the Evo used to have 2 by the def door. When you open the def door down, there was 2 there, and then you had 2 at the back by the driver's side drives. All 4 of these are actually on the def door now. Okay, well, the old def door, because there's no def door. But like 2 of them, you have to get up under the truck almost to actually get them to release all the way. Just pulling the cable from the door is not going to do it. It's a slight little hiss. It'd take you 2 days to drain those tanks. They could have done a little bit better with that design. Last but not least, the headache rack. Yes, this is a prime option. I understand that. But this thing is so small compared to the old headache rack on the Evo. We have this giant clamshell box on top and this little itty bitty headache rack on the bottom. I've seen some drivers that have had the clamshell added to their existing tall headache rack. That's what we need to bring back, is our old tall headache rack with the clamshell if we have to have it. Clamshell actually holds a lot of stuff, but that smaller box, I mean, half of your chains don't even want to fit in there. It's that tiny. So that's the only other beef I have as far as the added on equipment. Other than that, guys, I've got no beef with the new Cascadia. There's some small things that can be modified, some small things that can be fixed by ordering them when you order your truck. Overall, this thing is a beast. I couldn't be happier. With the 20,000 miles that we've already put on it, I'm like so into this truck, I'm already thinking about ordering my next one. That's how much I love this truck. The Evo that we had from 188 miles to 597,000 miles was so reliable. The reliability of these trucks are uncanny. You can't beat them. Guys, I'm a Freightliner guy. That's all there's to it. I trained in a Pete. I love the Pete, but I have had so many buddies have been sitting down for weeks, if not months, with bad engine problems out of these new 579s, these Packer motors. Unless they bring the Cummins back, I'm staying with this. And even if they did bring the Cummins back with the 579s and Prime was ordering them, I'd probably still be with this. That's your 2021 walkthrough for the Cascadia. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would, if you like the content, you want to see more content, please like, sub, and share. And look forward to seeing you in the next one. Stay safe, stay prime. Freight Skater out.